All right, everybody, Sylvia here, and I am still in the Palm Springs area. I am camped behind my friend Joni's church with my truck and trailer, and we have just come back from a trike ride. Did about 25-30 miles. Beautiful day, bright blue skies, very little wind, maybe 75 degrees. And now that we're back, I've decided I'm going to do a video today about flags. And I think you're going to be surprised by how much can be said about flags and, well, certainly how much I can say about flags. All right, let's get to it. Come on, Myrtle, let's go. All right, everybody, Sylvia here, and I'm going to be doing a video today about flags. And flags are a very peculiar thing for trikes. You don't really see people fly flags if they're riding an upright bike or even a recumbent two-wheel bike. It's really more of a triking thing, and this is primarily because trikes are very low to the ground, and there seems to be kind of an unspoken rule that trikes are hard to see, and so everybody flies a flag, and I think it's a good idea to fly a flag. There are all kinds of flags available. You can get very colorful flags, small flags, big flags. You can get wind socks that look like fish or birds, dragonflies. You know, as they take up the wind, they kind of look like they're swimming or flying behind you. And when I first started triking, my first trike was a green speed GTO, and flags were really not available. My green speed came with just a small orange triangle that was very, very high up on a very long pole, and you just saw this little bit of orange. And when I first got my trike, I was touring out of the United States a lot, and I would fill up the rest of that flagpole with flags of the countries that I had been to, and then I would try to find a flag of the country that I was in, and I would put that at the top. And I noticed that country flags get a lot of attention. It's actually a really good idea to fly a country flag, and in the United States, I would argue that the most safety powerful statement you can make is to fly an American flag off your trike, particularly if you're going to be doing road riding. And if you're going to be doing touring, I would recommend flying as big an American flag as you can find. And the American flag has a lot of meaning for people as they're driving by, and people are really looking for it. It's something that they recognize immediately. And I would also argue that anybody who would have maybe malintent towards a cyclist would never hurt the American flag. And so I think that that is probably the biggest safety feature that you can do if you're touring in the United States. Out of the United States, you know, it really depends on what kind of attention that you like to get. Again, the American flag is very recognizable, and if you are touring out of the United States, it will give people permission to let you know what they think about you and the foreign policy of the United States. And probably the thing that has surprised me the most about touring outside the United States is how much everybody knows about American politics. You know, as an American, I don't really know much about foreign policy and politics in other countries, but let me tell you, everybody knows what's happening in the United States, and everybody has very strong opinions about it. And if you fly an American flag out of the country, in another country, you will hear all about it, good or bad. Otherwise, there are a lot of different types of flags to choose from, and I'm particularly eager to talk about one flag in particular. A woman from Alaska, her name is Katie, and she rides a trike. She and her dad both ride trikes, and she sent me a flag probably a year ago, and I'm sure she was really hoping that I would make a video about this flag quite a while ago. But you know, I don't know why. It just, this is when it's happening. And part of that was COVID. I just had the flag delivered to an address I expected to be returning to, but with COVID I wasn't able to. And so I got this flag probably, I don't know, maybe it was in June of last year, July of last year, and I used it for 4 or 5 months. And you may have seen it in some of my videos, very bright colored, thin material, kind of a stretchy material. And this is made by Katie's Creations AK. And she's from North Pole, Alaska. And I'm gonna put a link to her Etsy page in the description of this video so that if you're interested in looking at it more, then you can find that information easily. And I will tell you that this is one of the best bargains going for flags. Flags can be very expensive. A lot of flags are $60, maybe even more. And this one is less than $20. It's very simple. And I used this flag for probably 4 months, and I was really surprised how well it held up. I was using it mostly when I was in Crescent City and in Portland. You know, a lot of rain, a lot of wind, and the stitching on this flag is seemed a little bit thin to me, and so I was really surprised how well it held up. It's held up perfectly, and even the stitching around the edges. Katie did write to me to tell me that she has beefed up the stitching on the flags, and so they look a little bit more robust. But this flag is just a really good bargain. It's just material. I thought maybe it wouldn't hold up in the rain, but it did just fine. Really, the only issue that I have, actually there's 2 issues with this flag. One, there's no reflective piping on it anywhere, so that might be something she might consider adding. I pretty much always ride during the day, so it's not like I need it for nighttime riding, but I have found myself, riding into tunnels, or suddenly a fog bank rolls in, and it would be nice to have some reflective piping on this flag for a little additional safety. The other thing was I had to have it on my small pole here. I wasn't able to get my bigger flags off the taller pole so that I could switch it out, and I use a helmet mirror. And it would block my vision, keeping it here, and so it really needs to be on a taller flagpole. But this, I would highly recommend this flag, and maybe you can just add a little reflective piping to it yourself. Otherwise, this is a very popular style of flag. This is made by TerraCycle, and this flag I got with my trike. It says recumbent PDX with the website on it, and I think almost any bike shop that sells trikes now will provide you with this flag. And I'm not so crazy about this design. For me, I think one of the best features of a flag is how well it flaps. I think that that's what makes a flag visible. And this flag doesn't really flap very well. And it's also not nearly as brightly colored as the flag that I have on there now is, much brighter, and it's much bigger, and it just flaps a lot better. I also don't think that the writing on this flag is particularly visible. I think you would only know what it says because you already know what it says. But what's fun about these flags is you can get these flags with pretty much anything on them. Your college mascot, NFL teams, you know, whatever. You could have your own label. I think Jayo, Matt Galot, has a flag with his logo on it, and I think TerraCycle will make just about any logo you want. They also sell the flags that I'm using. These are made by Velo. I'll put the link in the description below, but you can get them through TerraCycle as well. All of these flags on their own are something like $60. But what I really like about this flag is it has just a lot more flappability, and I think that they're just a lot more visible. And then also having tassels hanging from the flag just gives it a little bit more visibility, and I really like having the contrasting colors for visibility, and also on this flag as well. And I actually have tassels that say Myrtle the turtle on them that Pat made for me. It's kind of a nice touch. And these flags have reflective piping down the pole and also in the middle. These stripes here are all reflective. And then I have a space so that I can see what's behind me if I'm using my helmet mounted mirror. And then the other thing that I have on these flags is I have these lights. These are flagpole lights, and you can get them from TerraCycle as well. What I really like about them is, particularly this one here, I don't need to get off the trike to turn it on. So if I'm coming up to a tunnel or maybe a fog bank rolls in, I can just reach back and turn it on really easily. I also use these lights to secure the flags to the poles in an additional spot. And you know, this is something that's actually really important. You have to have a way to secure the flag to the pole, otherwise you're going to lose your flag. And these flag poles are typically made of fiberglass. They're very flexible, and as the wind blows, you know, particularly if it's a headwind, you know, these flag poles are going to bend to where they're actually horizontal to the ground, and then the wind is going to come under the flag, and it's just going to blow right off. I've lost many flags this way. And then another way you can lose your flag is going under low hanging branches, trees, bushes, and even signs. And so as you go through it, you know, it's going to get caught on the sign or the tree, and it's just going to pull the flag right off the pole. And so a lot of flags come with these little flag clips, and they work very well. The other thing that I have used is mini binder clips that, you know, you clip together a lot of papers, and they're very, very strong, and they will for sure hold your flag on. But you definitely want to have something to hold the flag onto the flagpole to keep it from flying off. And you know, all this talk about flags, and when I first started triking, you know, it was early days. Not that many people were triking. More people were riding two-wheel recumbents, upright bikes, and there was a far bigger emphasis on speed. And when I first started triking, people were really against flags for aerodynamics. They felt like it would, you know, there would be drag with these flags, and you would actually see it in your speed. You wouldn't be as fast. I would say there's, you know, more people are riding on multi-use trails, on bike paths, and although it's really fun to have a flag, I'm not really sure how necessary it is. On the road, it's a completely different story, and there's a couple of reasons why, even though I don't know that having flags really aids that much in visibility. When you're on the road, car drivers will constantly tell you that they can't see you. They will yell out their windows, "I can't see you." You know, and you'll look at them and you'll kind of look around, and then you'll look back at them and you'll say, well, if you can't see me, who are you yelling at? And I think, you know, when you're on a bike path, you don't have any trouble seeing little kids on a bike. You don't have any trouble seeing dogs on the path. When you're driving, you don't have any trouble seeing the lines on the road. But car drivers really, really like seeing flags. And so as you're riding and you've got all these bright colors, people will start to say things like, oh, I'm so glad you've got those flags. Oh, it's so great. Sometimes people are out riding and I can't see them, and I can see you. You've got these wonderful flags. You know, heaven forbid you are riding and something should happen and you have an altercation with maybe motorcycle, a car, and there's damage that you need to call on your insurance company. And it is possible that your insurance company could come back to you and say, you know, you didn't have a flag. You know, I really don't think they could see you. And even though I know that isn't true and you know that isn't true, you're really not going to have much to back up that assertion. And so I fly flags primarily for that reason, because you know, I just don't want to have any trouble with careless people out on the road, which we know there are a lot of careless people. So I think that's kind of it. I can't think of anything else about flags. I'm going to leave links in the description below for the Hostel Shop and for Pat Franz at TerraCycle and for Katie's creation and her Etsy page, so you can take a look at some of the flags that are available and, you know, have some fun, put some color on your trike. All right, you guys, I hope everybody remains safe and healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.